For the third offseason in a row now, it's the Aaron Rodgers saga, and everybody's wondering how enlightened he will be when he comes out of the darkness, even though he had a light switch in there. Can we talk about that for a second? But how do you think things eventually are going to play out here with Aaron Rodgers? Because there's does he stay in Green Bay? Does he go somewhere else? Does he retire is still apparently floated out there. What do you think?
Well, first of all, does anybody know how much that place cost that he went to? I'm dying to know how much it costs, because if he really wants to go to a bad place, I can get him into some places in Reading, Pennsylvania for a lot less than whatever he paid to be in Southern Oregon.
I know a lot of parents who are like, please let me go in that room. I got my own bed to myself. I had no kids in the room, all that stuff.
You know what? Here's the deal. And Mike knows this. The Packers don't want him. I mean, the coolest thing about being the media now, Stormy, is I feel like I am fluent in insider ease, right? Like I can read when I see these tweets or these breaking news, the Packers are willing to move on from Aaron Rodgers if he wants to go elsewhere. You know what that means? They want to trade him. I actually personally think that Rodgers playing for the Packers is their least preferred option. I think, number one, they'd like to trade him, get rid of that guarantee on the contract, get something in return, go with Jordan Love. Number two, though, I think they would rather him retire and maybe give him $10 million a year to come back and make appearances or whatever than actually have to pay him $60 million to play this year. I believe, I've read the reports from Bob McKinn and other people. I think they're ready to turn the page, ready to move on. But he holds all the cards because of the contract and the guarantee.
No doubt he holds all the cards. And he holds the cards because, if he plays, he's not coming in to play for $10 million. He's not playing for 15. He's not taking a friendly deal. He's going to get all his money. And so I think this is a harder thing for the Packers, because if he wants his contract, then they got to give it to him. And there's no out for them. And if the Jets say, wait a minute, no, we'd rather sign Garoppolo than pay all this to Rodgers, which might be a smarter thing to do, and to give up compensation for a guy that you don't know he's going to play. I mean, none of us, the three of us, can't predict, will he play next year? Will he play the year after? Or will he play a 3 year? None of us know.
Well, I know this, Mike. I know this. A year from now, we'll be having the same conversation. I am already looking forward to the fourth annual Aaron Rodgers, will he? Like, the fact that people are debating whether or not a guy is going to play football for 5 months for $60 million is hilarious to me. It would go against every ounce of human nature and be like, you know what? No, I'm not going to play quarterback for 17 weeks for $60 million. Are you kidding me? If he comes out of the darkness and says that, and I was like his friend or family, I was in him back into the darkness till he came back out and said, okay, I'll play.
See, meanwhile, for me, it'd be the first time that I'd actually be impressed with an Aaron Rodgers decision. I feel like every time he's going out here and doing things, just rubbing people the wrong way, I'd be like, wow, you actually put aside $60 million to do this. I might actually be impressed there for a second. My thing on the Packers side of things is, like, I think of it as like a relationship. And when I want to break up with someone in a relationship, I'm not waiting for them to come around and break up with me. But that just seems like the approach that they have here.
Yeah, I just text him and say it's over. I'm moving on. No, I'm just kidding. I've been married a long time.
Stormy would say, it's not you. It's not you. It's me. It's not you. It's me, right? It's that old. It's
in all sincerity, they're trying to like tiptoe around him, right? But he reads everything. I mean, he's about as thin-skinned of a superstar player as we've seen. So he sees the Bob McGinn reports, and I think he thinks that they're true. I think he knows they're probably true. But they don't the Packers know the way he is. They don't want him to say, you know what? I'm only playing for you guys, just to stick it to them. They're trying to placate him any way they can, but they're in a bad spot. They really are.
So, Ross, Michael, at the end of the day, where does he go then?
I think – go ahead, Ross. You go. You answer.
I was just going to say, I mean, Mike obviously has, great connection with the Raiders, and I hear all this Raiders stuff. I don't see that. And Mike, maybe I'm wrong. I don't see Josh McDaniels or the Raiders wanting to pay $60 million because I think Josh would rather work with someone a little bit younger and mold them the way he wants to mold them. Whereas I feel like Rodgers is going to want to do his thing, man. And I don't know that that's what Josh McDaniels, having played for him in New England in 05 and 06, I don't know that that's what he's looking for. I think it's the Jets. I think he ends up with the Jets. I think he likes the idea of New York and talking about all the things that he knows more than us in New York. And I think the Jets desperately want him. I think that's where he ends up.
I couldn't agree more. Look, the Raiders have so many problems in terms of their talent level that if they devote $50 to $60 million of cash to one player, he's a good player. I'm not disputing. Look, we could talk all we want about Rodgers off the field antics, but the guy when he plays is good. And he would make the Raiders a better team, but they wouldn't become a better team because they're not a good team right now. They have so many holes. They have so many holes they need to fill. They had the offensive, defensive line. They've got to sign Jacobs back. For me, I agree with you, Ross. I think it's the Jets or nobody. I think it's the Jets, and I think it's more likely that the Packers might be left there saying, wait a minute, what do we do? Because if the Jets say, after their meeting with Garoppolo in Indianapolis this week, we're going to go ahead and do this because it's cheaper, what happens?
Well, and then there's the Derek Carr side of this as well. Like, he's somebody who can be signed at any time right now. Does he wait for Aaron Rodgers to be plucked off the market and then kind of figure things out from there? I mean, the Jets are telling this guy that he's going to be a Hall of Famer if he comes out there. So we'll see. Also, our guy Elliot behind the glass told us Sky Cave Resorts, where Aaron Rodgers was staying out there in Oregon, $250 a night. Much more expensive, Ross, than myfrontpagestory.com, I hear.
No, it is. And we talked about it a little bit at the Super Bowl because it was the lead into Valentine's Day, which was amazing, by the way. I gave you guys a code, VSiN 10, and a bunch of people used it. Now, look, Valentine's Day is behind us, so now if you got an anniversary coming up, or if you want to get me one for my birthday on Thursday,
happy
we got Mother's Day coming up before you know it, go to myfrontpagestory.com, the greatest gift ever. As it relates to Derek Carr, the funniest part about that is they literally want another guy more, but they're telling their plan B that he would be a Hall of Famer if he went there. On the one hand, I think Carr's waiting it out because he hasn't really gotten that many good offers yet. On the other hand, I think maybe he's smart to see what happens with Rodgers, because if Rodgers says he's only playing for Green Bay, then Carr will have a bigger, better suitor in the New York Jets. So I think on the one hand, I thought Carr would kind of already been making moves. On the other hand, I guess I understand he's second in the pecking order, so he's kind of waiting and watching in the wings a little.
Ross, we're up against it, but thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Ross. Appreciate you.
Always. You guys are awesome. Thanks for having me.
From Princeton, Ross.
From
Don't forget,
Princeton. Absolutely. At Ross Tucker NFL. Give him a follow. We'll be back here with more Lombardi Line.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.